Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. Well, it looks like I need to make an explanation video. What you're looking at is my Facebook, and I had posted a video from, I don't remember where I got it now. One of my YouTube subscribers sent me this. Anyway, it's about a corrupt Kentucky sheriff that was brought down by these reporters. This was a 60 minutes segment. I don't know when it originally aired, but it was about this Kentucky sheriff. And by the way, this Kentucky sheriff is a sheriff that is from an adjoining county to me. I think it was Whitley County. Pretty sure. Or Laurel. I can't remember which. But anyway, very close to my property. Down in southeast Kentucky. The reason I want to make this video is because I want to clear up some of the questions, because clearly there's some questions. And I'll just go, I'll start at the bottom and work my way up, because I think the top one really is kind of the crux of it all. Anyway, it says, one of the questions was this the sheriff that you made a video on a while ago asking citizens not to reelect? No, this is not that sheriff. The sheriff that I asked people not to reelect was the sheriff of Bell County, Kentucky. This story, the corrupt Kentucky sheriff brought down by a reporter story, is actually the sheriff, I think, from Whitley County. But like I said, very close to my county. Okay, the next question up is that Super Trooper? No, Super Trooper was a state cop. He was vehicle enforcement, whatever. He was state of Kentucky police. He was not a sheriff. Okay, so the next question up, was this guy involved with the real life videos? No, not at all. Zero. No, not at all. But the second part of his question, it kind of lands where it needs to land. It says, or are they just corrupt down there? This is the real reason why I posted this video about this Kentucky sheriff. Was because when I did my real life videos, I had a lot of people calling bullshit. Literally saying there's no way that law enforcement would behave like that. There's no way. You're telling me that the sheriff was in bed with the drug dealers. You're telling me that, that the state cop was protecting a drug house. There's no way, blah, blah, no way, no way, no way. Now, first of all, I embrace law enforcement. I am a big supporter of law enforcement. I have a lot of police officers in my family. Okay, so it was never me attacking the law. It was me definitely fighting corrupt law enforcement officials. So, I thought, when I seen this, it just, it was just kind of like proof, because this was a 60-minute segment on CBS, and this particular sheriff was dealing drugs. He was doing all kinds of stuff. If you're a member of my Facebook, click the link and watch that video. It's worth watching. You'll see just how corrupt some of these law enforcement officers can be. Now, before everybody jumps down my throat about here he goes again, shedding a negative light onto southeast Kentucky, I just want to go on record as saying this. Corruption in law enforcement agencies goes back as far back as time. The mob paid off judges and cops in Chicago during Prohibition. It's endless. Every four corners of the United States has some story about a corrupt cop. This is not me attacking law enforcement or shedding a negative light on southeast Kentucky. This is just me basically giving some supporting evidence to what I was trying to say, or what the story that was my story or my narrative of my experience on my property in southeast Kentucky. So when I seen this and I, when I watched this video, I said, this is really great, because this will actually show people what the kind of corruption that I was dealing with. Because when I went into the Bell County Sheriff's Department and asked for help against the drug dealers, I was turned away. And, when I started adding, 2 and 2 together, I started getting 4. And it didn't take me long to figure out that there was a problem, that there was a serious problem. And when I was asking people not to reelect the Bell County Sheriff, I believed that the Bell County Sheriff was corrupt. I really did believe that. I still do believe that. And a lot of people don't know the Bell County Sheriff had every intention in the world in retiring, and he thought for sure that his his chief deputy, his number one, would take his place. And, you know, he felt pretty confident that he could enjoy his golden years without any real hassle, because the chief deputy would undoubtedly be the new sheriff, and, you know, business would be as usual. In fact, he probably still had some kind of a corrupt pension gig going on. I'm not, you know, I'm just saying. But then when a credible opponent showed up, Mitch Williams, who was a state trooper, I think that the sheriff realized that, holy shit, my chief deputy is probably not going to beat this guy. And if Mitch Williams becomes the new sheriff, chances are the first person he's going to arrest is me. So the sheriff decided that he better forget about the retirement plans and just go ahead and run for re-election, because he was, believe it or not, still fairly popular, although he barely won re-election. So there's hope for the next round of elections. Anyway, to get back to my original point to this whole video, I just wanted to add some evidence in there saying, look, you know, yeah, I mean, these sheriffs down there can be every bit like that. Now, are there good sheriffs down there? You know, there's a lot of evidence showing that the sheriff of Knox County is a pretty good guy, a pretty decent person. I don't have not one person's ever told me that Sheriff Pickard was dirty. In fact, Sheriff Pickard helped me. I'm not just saying this because he did help me, but I mean, he did seem to be willing to step up and go against the grain. Because for my loggers, and I mean, here I am revisiting, you know, real life stories very early on, but when my loggers needed to get their equipment in and Super Trooper wasn't letting it happen, Sheriff Pickard actually gave a police escort for my loggers to get their equipment in there, which I know pissed off Super Trooper. But, you know, it was what it was. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything bad to say about Sheriff Pickard, who is the sheriff of Knox County, which is the next county over. Part of my property is in Knox County. In fact, technically, Mockingbird Holler Road is in Knox County. It's one of those gray area type of deals on the map, and I think that's why Pickard was able to do what he did. But thank God he did. So, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, and, you know, and do I have any hardcore evidence that the sheriff of Bell County is involved in drug dealing? No, of course I don't. If I did, he'd be indicted and probably in prison by now. But there was just so much circumstantial evidence and so much coincidental evidence that it just made it very difficult for me to believe that he was anything but corrupt. You know, although there are people who would argue that with me. There are people who would argue that I was giving, you know, the sheriff of Bell County a bad rap, in that he was a decent person, and that I had, you know, mischaracterized him, blah, 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 blah. My attitude about that is, you didn't, you know, walk a mile in my shoes. I don't know where you're coming up with that, unless, you know, unless you get an envelope too. I don't know. There are people, listen, there are people in this world who will turn a blind eye to corruption because they have a dog in the fight, and they are doing just fine under the current quid pro quo, or not quid pro quo, I'm sorry, the current things as they are. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Sure, the status quo. The status quo is what I was looking for. So yeah, if you're doing okay under the status quo, well, certainly you don't want things to change. Why would you? You know, so, but I guess my whole thing was, when I seen this video, I thought to myself, to all those people, when I was doing my real life videos, who screamed bullshit as loud as they could scream bullshit, they screamed it. You know, I thought to myself, you know what? Here you go. Here's a perfect example. This is literally one county over from my property. So, yeah, we're not talking about the other side of the state or the other side of the country. You know, and if you watch this video, you know, it really does show things for a lot of people. This is the reality that they have to live with every single day. These sheriffs and these deputy sheriffs, you know, I mean, and listen, money corrupts huge. I mean, what's the old saying, money's the root of all evil? And you're talking about a very depressed part of the country. I've always said, I don't think they pay their sheriff's deputies near enough. Honestly, I don't. Because when you pay your sheriff's deputies crap, then you're just opening them up to being vulnerable to suggestion or corruption, whatever you want to say. I mean, you know, here's the thing. I mean, you're asking people to risk their lives for what? You know, you need to pay them. So for all you sheriff's deputies in Bell County who do not like me, and I know there's a few of you who do not like me, Okay, I know there's a few of you that do. But for those of you who do not like me, look, I'm all about you guys getting paid more. I really am. I don't blame a lot of people for doing the things that they do. Now having said that, there is something called moral character. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling about this. This was just literally my way of saying, hey, here's a little evidence of the kind of corruption that I was dealing with. It's not the sheriff that I talked about. It's not even the same county, but it is literally a sheriff from the next county over. So take that for what it's worth. And for all those people who called bullshit on some of the stories that I was telling in my real life stories, watch this video. You'll see. I went through hell. I literally went through hell. And I will tell you in all honesty, and this might sound crazy to you, but that experience took years off my life. It was a very, very stressful time for me. And it had a very negative impact on my health. And in a lot of ways, it shouldn't have been like that, but it was. So anyway, so the real life stories are what they are. They're very 100% real. There's not one fabricated thing in that whole series of videos. And if you're watching this and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about when I say my real life videos, you need to go to my MBV channel and start with real life number 1 and take the ride. Take the ride. And you know what? If you took the ride and you're watching this video, go ahead and comment and let people who didn't take the ride know whether it's worth it or not. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully you're all having a great night, and I'm sure I will talk to you all soon. See ya!